people say they'd love to work internationally, but in the end, only a few actually do. Apart from luck and maybe some unfair advantages, what are the skills that helped the one who did? Quick recap of my story. I used to work in Russia for mostly international companies. I was considering relocating for work, but in the end, I moved to the Netherlands to do my MBA. And now I work here. Apart from my experience, I saw dozens, maybe almost hundreds of people who unlocked their international career. And 99% of them had these 5 things that I will be talking about today. Let's go. And the first skill, believe it or not, is an ability to articulate your goals. It's about being transparent on your goals to have an international career, both with yourself and your company. And it may seem obvious, but I have no idea how many people don't have this first crucial step covered. They don't formulate it as a goal that is specific, that is tangible. That's why all of the thoughts about this potential international career are not forming a plan, but just exist in a muddy water of daily thoughts. First, we obviously should be clear and transparent about our goals with ourselves, and it requires certain level of self-awareness and some ability to formulate what do you want from your life. But it is also incredibly important, and this step is overlooked often, is to be transparent about it with your company. If you work in a company, that may provide you an opportunity for an international career. And don't get me wrong, I did this mistake myself, hands down. I think I kind of expected that it is obvious, of course, everyone would like to have an international career, and I didn't bother to speak to my manager about it, asking my manager if she would see an opportunities to let me know. Like, I didn't prepare any ground for any potential opportunity to come my way. All of the experts, managers, leaders that I know who have an international career at some points in their life formulated for themselves. This is what I want. Skill number 2 is patience and foresight in making choices. And here's what I'm talking about. So getting an international career takes time. And usually before that, you need to make series of specific choices and decisions prior. And here let's distinguish. You can in theory move abroad, find there a minimum wage work and try to sort out your career already in the country from this as a starting point. But this is not exactly the case that I'm talking about. If you want to start working internationally without losing your career traction or like almost without it, one of the smartest things to do would be to start working in the international company that has a potential to relocate you. So when you're, for example, switching jobs and you're making choices about which company and role to join, of course there are pros and cons. But apart from a salary, the job itself, and all kinds of things that we usually consider when we think about accepting or not the offer, you can start also thinking about if in this company you will have an opportunity to unlock an international career. Like, self-explanatory, but if the company is local and doesn't have an international exposure, then the likelihood of that will be lower. And sometimes if you choose to prioritize these companies, there can be actual cons, right? Sometimes the paycheck will not be as big, especially if this is a company with a very prominent company branding, or you'll have to deal with the drawbacks of this company being a big corporate and not like a flexible and agile startup. And even after joining international companies that you consider has the potential that you're looking for, it of course takes a lot of work, but it also takes time. So you will need to be patient. In my case, the smart choices I was making were about which program to choose. I chose MBA in the end. And by the way, I have a video on why MBA may not be exactly for you, so check it out if you like. Now, skill number 3 is cultural sensitivity and cultural curiosity. Imagine that you're already landed an international company and you have your management observing you to see if they would support you or recommend you for a relocation or international work. And I'm thinking about how to put this, but if we're only curious about ourselves, first of all, we will very much struggle in any environment where the culture is different. And second of all, it is kind of visible for people around us who work with us. If we are close-minded, if we are not sensitive to other people, to other cultures, and if we're not genuinely curious in them, we are simply not having a chance. And I think this is applicable for both work relocation and education. Because it doesn't matter if we're applying for an education or we want to relocate, there are people who will be making decision about it, and they will be very hesitant to approve or recommend the person that is obviously like close-minded, that does not have a global mindset. If you want to work globally, make your mindset global. And it is so much easier when you are genuinely curious about other cultures, because it comes with an international job. Unavoidable. Skill number 4 is adaptability. The problem here though is adaptability by itself does not bring you an international career. But it is very important in a little bit indirect way, so let me explain. Different people have different levels of adaptability, and it's defined by many things. Partially it's even defined by our genetics, but apart from that, by how we've been raised, by if we've been exposed to a changing environment that would give us an experience of adapting, if that makes sense, and especially successful experiences of adapting to something. Because, and take this example with a grain of salt, of course, but if you've ever lived in the same city, the same street, the same house, if for 10 years you're working in the same company, maybe almost on the same role, there is a chance that maybe you won't even challenge yourself to think about international career. Because when we never had a positive experience of something, it is very easy for our brain to come up with all kinds of reasons why relocating somewhere to work is too hard, it is expensive, too challenging culturally, so these are all people that you would not understand, you need to learn the language. Brain is very creative when it comes to these things. So when I say that adaptability as a skill helped me unlock my international career, here's what I mean. Voluntarily or non-voluntarily, I had a lot of experiences where I had to adapt to new environments, new people, new work, new companies. And this is why when I was even thinking about these goals of having an international career, it did not feel totally impossible to me. And it supported me along the way. And a skill number 5, please resist clicking out of this video now, is networking. Specifically, global networking. Many things that are associated with international career are complicated in the preparational part, during, and after when you actually have to do this job. And the best advice in all these challenges comes from people who went through it. And in order to get this best advice, you often need to talk to these people. And this is what networking is about, finding people who have the experience that you're looking for and try to reach out to them, talk to them, be interested in their experiences. Actively ask for advice. Like, there are so many people who actually motivated by what is called helper's rush, who are willing to help and give you an advice if you would properly ask about it. I know that it is uncomfortable and I know it is super scary and the YouTube is filled in with videos on how to do it. But here's my point. Talking to others, people who went through this thing that I was looking for, made me not just equipped with their advice, but made me confident that it is actually possible. And many times we don't do the thing that we want, not because of the objective reasons, but because it is so hard to believe that doing something like that is in real life possible. So global networking, talking to people who moved abroad to work or moved abroad to do their MBA, helped me tremendously. By the way, I made a video on top relocation mistakes and I actually surveyed a lot of my friends for it and it turned out to be a super informative one, so check it out if you like. Some of these mistakes led to wasted money or wasted time, but some of them were much deeper than I expected. Did not think properly about what to take with you and what to leave behind. Not asking for help. Always read your rental agreement before you sign it. Finances, hands down. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you there.